welcome the Red Barrels podcast. It's episode 30. Yeah, you didn't think we'd get to 30, did you? We have got to 30. We have defied your expectations, but we're here. You couldn't get rid of us. We're here, and we've got an incredible, like a banger of an episode, unexpected banger of the episode. I bet you weren't seeing this coming, because not only is it me, Alex, the usual guy you hear talking, and also who else is usually here and here this time as well.
What? Was that a
Just
prompt?
say hello. Say hello. Say hello.
Us
Just say hello.
Hello. Hello. I'm Sofie. I guess. Who else is here?
It's me. It's Ed. Hi, guys. Welcome back. Thank you for tuning in to another
Yeah,
episode
shut
of
up, you
the
two.
Red
Shut
Barrels
up. No
pod.
one cares about you two or me because we have an incredible guest. Like, I mean, we previously stated that our guest, Tom Nicholas, is the greatest human ever to have lived.
Alex.
We've got
Alex,
competition.
we talked about
We've got
this.
competition now.
Alex,
We've
we
got
talked about
competition.
this. Okay.
Look, I didn't decide he was the greatest person who ever lived. He just
Okay.
clearly was. But
Alex.
like now, I'm not so sure.
Oh.
Because we have a guest. Who is our guest? Please say hello, our mystery guest.
Hello, I'm Meghna Jayanth. Yeah, and I don't know, I'm about to have a sort of existential crisis, and I'm worried about whether I'm going to milkshake duck myself now after that introduction.
I think that's impossible. I don't think that's possible. You've already lived up
that's
to
what Tom
what
Nicholas also said, which is why we had a conversation
Wow.
about this, Alex.
I said. People just need to believe in themselves, man. You know.
I mean,
you know.
We just had a discussion about cults earlier, so I'm really worried that this is the
I
love
believe-
bombing stage of that, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, it
Not
very
you.
much is.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
very
Right.
much
I
is.
mean, man, you think the people, if I'm love bombing, you think the targets would enjoy it more. I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Well, Meghna's here to talk about part of our news, because this is the news episode. I think I say every single episode, maybe, that we have switched into having an episode a week, and one episode is news, one episode is games, and this is a news one. We're getting into the news. But before we start, I've said this 3 news episodes in a row, but YouTube is messing with us. They're still messing with us. It's disgraceful. They keep making our videos private, which means you can't see them. This has happened 3 times in a row. So every single time I've said this, it's been removed. So probably the people it's most relevant for still haven't seen this or heard this. So that's the conundrum we're in. But if you do hear this, and in future you're expecting an episode on YouTube and there isn't one, get in touch. Tell us at Red Barrels Pod on Twitter, at Red Barrels Podcast.bsky.social on Blue Sky. Just let us know, and I'll go in and I'll flip the switch, because they keep doing it to us, and now I'm beginning to think it's a conspiracy.
Wow, corporate sabotage
increasingly sure of
already,
it.
huh?
Corporate sabotage. Clearly, they know.
Don't
They know we're
spoil
coming.
the
for them.
episode.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
yeah.
We're going to talk about Mindseye later.
But as I said, this is a news episode, so I think we're going to get into it, and I'm not gonna hold Meghna back from you any further. The first part is the interview with Meghna. So first of all, why don't you introduce yourself a bit more fully and basically say why you're on here in the first place?
Yeah, so like I said, I'm Meghna Jayanth, and I'm a narrative designer. I've been in the industry for like over 10 years now, which definitely makes me a veteran, because
Wow.
we fall by the wayside early. Yeah, and I've mostly been working in indie games. So I made a game called 80 Days, which came out in 2014, which is my kind of first game in the industry. It's a kind of anti-colonial, feminist retelling of Jules Verne's Around the World in 80 Days. Back when people were like, oh, you're going to put a game on mobile? Is that even a legitimate platform? Yeah, and then, I've worked on a bunch of indie games since then, like Sable. I did a little bit of work on some DLC for This War of Mine. Recently, Thirsty Suitors, which is a game about
Thirsty Suitors.
fighting your hot but toxic exes and
that.
disappointing your parents. Yeah, and the most recent game I'm working on is called All Will Rise, which we're running a Kickstarter now for, and it's kind of a little bit insane at the moment, but it is a game about taking billionaires to court for their climate crimes. So very much, I think, in the sort of Venn diagram interests of your podcast listeners.
Definitely.
And so it's a bit sort of Ace Attorney meets Disco Elysium, and in the game you play a climate lawyer and her team as you kind of investigate the crime of the murder of a river. So we're legalistic, but we're also quite weird and Marxist animist, and the river is also a dead god, and So it's a little bit Disco Elysium in that way, which is really cool. But I think the reason that you have me on to have a chat with you guys is that we just announced that we pledged No Games for Genocide. So we're joining the boycott against Microsoft, which also involved us handing back an amount of money because we'd signed a deal with them as part of a developer acceleration program earlier last year. And then I think No Games for Genocide sort of really took shape at the end of last year. And so then we kind of had some conversations in the team. So not only are we're kind of giving up the Xbox player base, which sucks, honestly.
Sure.
But yeah, we're also kind of handing back some money, and I'd love to tell you how much, but that would breach confidentiality of our contract, and so I'm afraid we can't do that. And I just want to say, like, the people at Microsoft that we spoke to were really, I think, really understanding about it. Which I think also speaks to how there are lots of workers within these kind of complicit organizations. Microsoft is, a priority BDS target at the moment and has lots of proven ties of complicity to Israeli genocide. I mean, to be honest, which major multinational corporation doesn't, right? But Microsoft has been chosen as a priority BDS target. So yeah, I think that's really what we're here to discuss, and I think we're also really maybe here to try and convince some other developers and studios to kind of join us in this boycott, right? Because I think in an ideal world, we do all kind of manage to pressure them to sort of change their mind, and I think there's a lot of anger. I mean, really justifiable anger and horror, and I think lots of tech workers are also waking up to kind of the role of their own organizations and companies in complicity with genocide and all of this kind of AI assistance in war and so I think this could be a real moment. We're really hopeful.
I mean, true. What did we decide the word was? Was it Red Barrel's heads or was it just comrades? I can't remember what we landed on for that. But true fans of the podcast
Red Barrel
will remember, I think it was episode 21. Ed, can you confirm it was 21?
I can't confirm. I know I'm the stats guy, but I haven't got detailed like that.
What disappointment. I believe it was episode 21 when we had our good friend Sarah from No Games for Genocide on. So if you want to know more about the organization itself, I would recommend you check that out. But how did you get in touch with them, or did they get in touch with you, or had you just heard about them?
Well, so the thing is, as someone who's pretty outspoken about Palestine in the industry, I think the organizers had kind of been in touch with me around the kind of formation of it and during the initial thing. But I knew we'd taken Microsoft money, so I couldn't really respond to the pledge kind of immediately because I knew that the studio that I was working with had taken Microsoft money. But I think that kind of started off the conversation internally at the studio. But yeah, I mean, I probably we're all on Blue Sky together, and it's a small industry, and we kind of hear about these things, and I think No Games for Genocide has been pretty great about kind of shouting loudly about their message since about last year. So.
Well, that's good. I would say I'm a little bit disappointed because I was hoping that you would have heard about it at Games Transformed, the festival that Ed and I help organize. And I should say, just for purposes of disclaimers or whatever, that Meghna did attend the festival last time, so we do have a bit of a connection with her.
I did. I played a war profiteer on stage during a live play of Max Haven's Billionaires and Guillotines, which was pretty
yes,
good.
It was great fun, and you did an amazing job. And I mean, you may never get to see Meghna play Billionaire again, so it's possible that chance, the opportunity is just slipped through your fingers, dear listener. I do apologize. So obviously, this is. I mean, I think I speak for all of us on the podcast to say we think it's a fantastic decision that you and your team's made, and we wholeheartedly support it. But I mean, obviously, that must have been kind of very difficult for you. I'm sure as an indie studio, you don't have a huge amount of money. So turning down any kind of revenue or funding stream must have been quite difficult. What kind of challenges have you found in making this move?
Yeah, I mean, obviously funding's the big one, but also, reducing the number of opportunities for our players to find us, right? Because I think in addition to kind of funding attention and discoverability, are so difficult for indies right now, right? Like there are just so many games being made. There are so few, like there are all of these kind of sort of bottleneck platforms that we kind of have to use, Steam being one of them, that take a cut of your profits and that also really decide who gets to kind of see your game. So I think, we've just got increasingly kind of either on the kind of funding side, you have sort of individual like gatekeepers who decide what's worth funding and not. And then on the other side, you kind of have like the ravages of the algorithm, And so you kind of, I think as an indie studio, you sort of get the worst of both ends, like the worst of kind of having to deal with kind of obscure personal systems and also the worst of having to deal with the algorithm as well. So so it wasn't an easy decision. And also one of the things that we genuinely talked about as well is that our game is about ecocide, but it's also about corporate greed, and there are many other, complicated themes that we deal with in the game. If we take this stand of conscience on this issue, should we also be taking a stand against companies that don't live up to their, net zero pledges? Should we take a stand against companies? There are all kinds of, potential angles and avenues. And I think we had to be really realistic about kind of, how do we live up to our own integrity? How do we live up to the themes of the project? And also, frankly, our desire to make a commercial game. The reason that we wanted to get it's a very leftist, it's a very political game. And we don't want to just preach to the choir. We actually want to bring these ideas into the mainstream. And so making a game that's fun, and we didn't want to make a game that was just a serious game that would be played by 10 people. So I think there's a lot of kind of complex balancing to do, but I think what really tipped it for us was that, obviously the ongoing genocide. And we made this decision before, the illegal war against Iran as well, the US-Israeli war too. But I think it just felt like, so actually the game All Will Rise itself was kind of born out of our Joost and Niels' participation in a pension divestment movement with a group called ABP. With a group called Fossil Rise, sorry. So they basically kind of came together to pressure this Dutch pension fund, ABP, to divest from fossil fuels. And it was kind of, in those activist meetings that Joost had this idea for like, what if we made a game about this, but also Ace Attorney. So, the kind of origins of the game are in like boycott and divestment movements. And I think we've seen the success of them, historically as well as in this movement. And so it really felt like that we actually did have the opportunity to pressure Microsoft, really, if enough of us kind of joined together. So it felt like a kind of timely action, right? And rather than just a purely symbolic one.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to kind of suggest it's on the same level since we're such a podunk setup and we don't even have any kind of money coming in or anything. But, that was kind of similar decision we had to make when BDS came in, To be honest, at the time, I play a lot of modern games and Game Pass was quite, financially beneficial to me to do that. So it's even on this smaller level that there are decisions that have to be made like that. And it can be difficult.
But I think I really want to emphasize as well. Like, partly, in some ways, partly this made sense for us because it is also what we talk about in the game as well, and I think is also part of kind of our own sort of praxis and our own sort of understanding of politics and power and all of these things. But I think, while I don't think on the team, it's not, I don't want to say that we're fully in this kind of neoliberal idea of like, it's all about our each individual actions and let's play purity politics about this. I think that's, frankly, bullshit. But I do also think that it's kind of important to say that that we do have power, right? I think it's really easy to kind of look at all of these systems and look at Microsoft as this gigantic behemoth that is impenetrable and immovable. But the thing is, organizations are made out of people, right? And there are many people within these organizations that are against leadership decisions. And so I think, it's really more about thinking about how you can kind of leverage your power against these things. And I do think it's kind of, I think, and I think also once you act once, it becomes easier to kind of act again, right? And I think, so I think there's just kind of a point where you just have to say, okay, I'm doing this, I'm making some form of small sacrifice, and I think it's sort of, it's a difficult one to talk about, right? Because I think it's for me, it's complicated to talk about, oh yes, we're giving all of this up and this is really difficult and all of this, which is it's all kind of true in a way. But if you kind of zoom out the broader perspective of it compared to, my friends and colleagues in the industry who are Palestinian and have had family members murdered and who can't go home, and, and that then again compared to what the people in Palestine are actually going through, right? But I think so I think it's important to kind of maintain a perspective, but I think it's also important to acknowledge, yeah, it does pinch. I can't deny it. It was completely easy, but it felt worthwhile.
Yeah, no, I personally 100% agree. Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult thing. What kind of advice would you give to like other studios who find themselves in similar situations? I know we've been talking among ourselves about maybe doing this game called Unlooted, or Relooted. Is it Relooted or Relooted? Relooted.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Relooted.
Yeah, and that looks like a really cool and interesting game. It's about returning looted things, basically from the British Museum.
Yeah,
to,
absolutely. That's totally
where it's
a long-standing fantasy of mine. So I'm excited.
yeah, but I noticed that it's like it's Xbox Game Pass exclusive on consoles. I'm gonna have to. I think if we do it after, I don't really play games on Steam much, so I'm gonna have to do some finagling to make that happen. But I just think obviously, I think it's I don't know anything about them, the developers, beyond what I've read in interviews and stuff. But I'm gonna guess they probably would generally support Palestine.
Yeah.
I imagine it seems quite likely, and I imagine they've had some really difficult decisions. But I mean, I suspect they were much further along the line than you guys were, and so decoupling themselves from that kind of thing would be a lot more difficult.
Yeah,
would
I think
imagine.
I think it sounds like they're like an Xbox exclusive, right? So they're probably a lot more tied in and have probably spent the money that Microsoft
Yeah,
has given
probably.
them. Which is kind of complicated, right? Like, where do you make up that shortfall with? Yeah, no, I mean, I really hope that if you are working at a studio, especially at an indie studio, but even at a larger studio as well, I think it's really kind of important. Go have a conversation. I think if you are horrified by Israeli genocide and you are horrified by Microsoft's complicity in it, and you feel hopeless and you feel powerless, this is a concrete action that you can take. And I think that's the thing. I think actions like what we've done with All Rise just kind of make it seem more possible to do that. Because I think there are times where it just feels kind of pointless or naive, or it's just like, oh, that's a really nice idea, but no one's really doing it. But the more you see people kind of actually have those conversations and maybe even describe, I think in our statement, we kind of, in some ways, like describe some of the language of why we made this decision to kind of make it easier for people. And I'm very happy for people to kind of reach out to me personally as well. And I'm happy to kind of talk you through any feelings of like awkwardness, because I think sometimes it can actually just be awkwardness. Like, it feels like let's not talk about politics, and it feels kind of impolite to kind of bring up these things, and it's difficult to kind of be the troublemaker, especially if you're someone who probably already has that reputation at work as well. But which I imagine many of your listeners probably will do. But yeah, I think this is a really complicated thing, right? About this is your livelihood, and it's really it's kind of hard to balance that. But also, like, I just cannot be at that point where I'm just like, oh, that poor Northrop Grumman employee, they just really need their paycheck to feed their family. There has to come a point where, and I do think it is like not to be kind of spiritual about it, but it's like it is corrosive to the soul, and I think we're all experiencing an enormous amount of moral injury in the way that we, capitalism kind of makes us complicit in all kinds of horror. So I think any small way that we can kind of reject that is really in some ways a selfish action. You're kind of maintaining your own sense of wholeness and integrity. And I do think that, I really don't want, I would like to look back on this period, and I would like my future self to kind of feel as though I did something. I mean, I think I will still feel as though, we all personally and collectively did not do enough, right? But I think it's kind of important to be able to kind of stick that in the sand and say, I did something, I tried something. And whether that's even just a conversation, I really, really encourage people, even if they're not convinced that their studio is going to be open to it, just kind of start the conversation and see how your colleagues are feeling, because you may be quite surprised there. I mean, obviously, if we had I mean, I'm curious about also whether this is, what our game workers union kind of is their stance on this as well.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I don't think we've actually checked in with the
Mm.
IWGB to see. I'm fairly sure they haven't had my suspicion would be they are in general against the genocide.
Yeah.
But I suspect that, I mean, I know that in America, where there's been a lot more unionization than here,
Yeah.
I mean, somewhat surprisingly, maybe, a lot of them are the Microsoft-owned studios.
Yeah.
Because the Activision buyout basically gave them a bit of a wedge to hammer in there. So I know they've managed to do quite a lot of organizing there.
Oh, are you telling
I
me
mean,
that Jared Kushner and the Saudis aren't popular buyers? Yeah. You
Yeah,
shock
it's
me.
really surprising.
Yeah,
Mm.
you really shocked me.
Disappointing.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know what you're supposed to do when you're like your entire company is owned by Microsoft.
Yeah.
And I think was it Double Fine? I think there was one company that did. Oh no, I think it was Arcane.
Yeah.
I believe, put out a message against the genocide, which
Yeah.
was very brave of them. But yeah, I mean, you can't really just tell an entire company that they should just quit their jobs.
No, but I think making a little bit of noise is kind of no bad thing, right? Like, I mean, obviously Microsoft is sustained by the labor of by our labor, by the labor of the workers,
absolutely.
right? And I think they do have a bit of an interest in maintaining the morale of their workers. And I think if it becomes, I think that's the thing about like kind of boycotts like this, is that partly what we're doing is, okay, we're taking this public action, but we're also kind of providing leverage to people inside who are kind of much closer to kind of decision making to be able to kind of have these conversations. So that's the thing. I think these kind of decisions are always, you need kind of pressure from kind of all sides, internal and external. And I think often the internal pressure is more meaningful, right? Like the kind of morale of their workers is going to be important to them. And I do think that in some ways the fact that Microsoft as this huge entity is made up of all of these smaller companies kind of also makes it difficult for them, right? I mean, I like Arcane's kind of action in coming out against this. You'll be kind of amazed at how little sort of C-suite wants to just even be constantly having difficult conversations that make them feel a bit bad,
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, there is also a group, we've talked about them in the past, is it No Azure for Genocide, I think? That's what they're called. That are like specifically Microsoft, intra-Microsoft pressure group. And, obviously we'd offer full support to those guys. Yeah, I mean, why don't we, like, as leftists, as Marxists, we are prone maybe to utopian thinking. What would be kind of the best kind of the dream scenario that you could imagine for like studios like yours to get funded? I mean, I suppose if you want, the dream scenario would be global communism, and that's how we do it. Maybe a bit less utopian than that, but more utopian than now, for like how these things, like a wider kind of solution or kind of idea, kind of vague, even a vague idea of how these things could be moved forward.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether this is like, I guess this is my least radical kind of idea, which is just a lot more government funding, for the arts in general.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, I think we recently saw, is it Ireland that gave like a kind of UBI to like artists, basically, and it turned out it turned out incredibly well in sort of purely economic terms, as well as I think in all of the other ways that is flourishing. But I think that is also part of how you allow. I mean, and this is exactly why it won't happen, right? Because I think having stability and not having precarity in your workplace, and knowing that you have sort of other alternative sources of funding, also allows workers kind of to act in accordance with their conscience, right? And kind of say no to things that they feel are unethical, rather than be in this kind of state of precarity that makes you kind of scrabble for scraps constantly and in exhaustion, right? But yeah, no, I think in general, like these it would be great. Like, I think you see that in sort of, I think Australia is particularly good on this. I think, some particular states. I think actually in Australia, like the various states are sort of like competing with each other to give you kind of more government grants. And it was a very specific decision that they came to after the global financial crisis, right? Because essentially Australia was so dependent on the kind of American games industry that the entire industry sort of just collapsed, and it was largely doing things like outsourcing and stuff like that. And so they kind of decided to actually build a much more kind of resilient games industry, and I think you can really see that in this flourishing scene, right? Like Untitled Goose Game and loads of other like big breakout indie successes. And you get those hits by having a kind of thriving small scene, and you get those hits by studios getting to kind of stay together and make a second game without needing to rely on this kind of like infinitesimal chance of a kind of breakout sustainable success. Yeah, you know, so I mean, I don't know if that's I think that's to me that seems like the most sensible and obvious thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating because like the UK, you know, one of our at this point few strengths on the global scale is our cultural output, and there's so little funding given to that.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous and you know, from a purely mercenary and financial perspective, a little bit of funding would provide a huge amount of return in money, and yeah, they're so ideological they refuse to do it.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
My friend and colleague Naomi Alderman always kind of points out, because I mean she's wonderful and like very like frustrated with government policy, right? But she really points out that like the games industry is bigger than fisheries in the UK. And yet the amount of kind of government grants and subsidies and conversation that happens around fisheries is just so much vaster than video games. And you're like, that's just in sheer brutal, like, you know, capitalist terms. That makes no sense, right? So, yeah, I don't have a huge amount of hope of that of that changing, to be honest. And you know, in the future, sort of, you know, in the more radical utopia, I have a real question mark in my mind about whether video games exist in that utopia or not.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
Wow,
like,
that's philosophical right there. That's gonna
so
send us down there.
I really love. Do you guys know Donella Meadows, who's this great systems thinker? And she has this great book called Thinking in Systems, but in it she has this quote which is kind of essentially talking about how a society that actually kind of fulfilled itself in terms of, you know, our actual basic needs for like community, sort of self-actualization, dignity, all of these things would actually require less material throughput in all of these like consumer goods. And also, and she adds in there electronic entertainment as well. And ever since I read that paragraph, I was like, actually, I feel as though maybe there are no good video games in a positive sort of political and socio-cultural future. Like I absolutely can imagine them in like the hellscape like mall culture, like where everything is just like a mall and a casino. Obviously, like a game designers are basically just like harnessed to the attention economy to like exploit and extort from you. But yeah, not sure.
I'm not sure if I can get on board with this. Utopia's got to have video games in it.
Right,
that's kind of the fundamental basis of this podcast. And we're going to start set up our factional differences right here.
I love this because it's like the sort of liberals on Twitter were like, what? I can't get bananas the year round? Like, fuck communism. And now we're just like, oh, I don't get the next Resident Evil. So
Exactly. Yeah, I'm a MLG, Marxist-Leninist gaming. That's a little bit in the brackets after my name. One last question, and actually kind of a little bit related to what we just were speaking on. In Highguard, who would Marx main? Yes, you guys thought you were out of it. No, we're playing Who Would Marx Main in the sadly departed service game that just closed their servers, Highguard. Yeah, Meghna, we play a little game here sometimes in which we use the eternal science of historical materialism to determine precisely. Look, I'll give you the link. Don't worry. I can see them. I can see them looking it up.
Is generous. I'm just saying.
I can see them looking it up. I can see
feel
them
like
looking
it's
it
more
up.
like Alex likes to play a game.
Here you go.
Alex enforces on us an experience.
I'm going to warn you, this website, the Highguard website, is still up. Unfortunately, it's not very good. And you have to go in. When you go to see the wardens and you look at them one individually.
Wow. Also, my computer is telling me that this is a definitely unsafe website to visit. So this is already exciting.
You know, this is look. It's only going to be up online for maybe another week. Come on, we've got to enjoy it while we can.
Why is this site not found?
Yeah. Do you want to screenshot these wardens so that we can?
I mean, there's a bunch of them.
Wow.
I did have a. There are
I'll
a number
take the
of
risk.
sites.
No, I won't, apparently. Looks like you followed a broken link.
Yeah.
What are you doing, Alex?
It may have come down literally in the past hour.
Past 5 hours. High
God
God. What are they
Wardens.
called?
Search High God
Wardens?
Wardens.
Okay. Like heroes,
Yeah, it's
champions.
not working
What are we
for
going
my
They're
game
called
link
with?
wardens. They're
either.
called wardens. I love to make my service game sound like a prison. Sure. That may
No,
mean
I
why I
do.
didn't do very well. Okay, here's one from GameSpot.
Yeah.
All High Guard Wardens and their abilities. There we go. Unfortunately, we don't get the lore from this, I think. And which, I know you're all
Absolutely,
connected
all
to.
about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, which one of these? There is an objectively correct answer. And the question, which because I'm the expert on everything Karl Marx would have done and thought in his time, and his opinion on these games, it's up to you to determine. So
Did you ever
have a
play
look.
High God, Alex?
No, of course I didn't. No one did. That's why it shut down after like 2 weeks.
Just wondering.
I'm going to say right away that it's probably... Oh, I had the name of the character. No, I don't. The one support character that is there because they provide a shield for the entire team. And I feel like that's kind of what communism is, It's a shield for everyone that helps you to their team to push forward,
I see.
with the defense of the state.
Ah,
I guess. And maybe UBI. I don't know.
I've never seen
I'm gonna go
someone
with
say
the one
something
support character.
that they so clearly don't believe. As soon as you
No, I
start
like
speaking,
it. I think
you're like,
Listen.
spawn point advantages does kind of rhyme a bit with UBI. Like, I'm with you here. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm,
And like, you know how they say you shouldn't be pushing without knowing exactly where your support is. Like, that's what I'm saying, Pushing forward without your support, that's kind of like doing capitalism at the end of the day. That's a one-to-one comparison. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking now. Next, somebody else,
I've got an
please.
answer. I've got an
Go
answer.
Alright.
I think it's Condor, who, as you all
Condor.
remember from playing High Guard, is a recon ward
Course.
who excels at tracking enemies. Because what was Marx really good at?
Yeah.
At tracking capital, at describing in great detail how
nice.
it works. So I think Marx would see a lot of himself in Condor, and so would naturally tend to play Condor.
I see. Meghna, do you have any opinions?
I mean, I think
channeling
I
back
think
to the
those,
19th century.
I think those were good, but I'm going to go with Econ, who
generous.
can shapeshift into a dire wolf, right? Because
Oh.
I do think that Marx, in the minds of his enemies at least, is like kind of transformed into this like monstrous figure. And then he uses spirits to take him on. And like, he's doing pretty good for a dead guy at freaking people out to date. So, and also like, I think with All Rise, like we're doing Marxist animism. So I think a little bit of like, kind of animation of the spiritual world feels correct to me.
Econ can be the spectre haunting Europe.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah.
There we go. There we go.
Spectre haunting Europe.
Yeah,
Wow. Well, I've got to say, those are some extremely good theorizing and
Again, very generous.
conceptualizing.
I know he's about to say,
Unfortunately-
however, you're wrong, right? Like,
Unfortunately, yes, you are. All three of
Oh,
you.
God. Have you listened to the podcast?
They were right last time. They're not always wrong.
Wait, do you
they're
play
freaking
this
me out.
exact game
Episodes.
with the wardens each time? Like it's the same.
No,
No,
it's
no.
different. It's
Can you
different
imagine?
games. It's different games. We did.
I think I'd have.
Yeah.
We did.
I'd
We
given
did.
up by now.
We did Concord. We got to get all the dead ones out of the way quickly, haven't
Nice, yeah.
we? No, the correct answer. I mean, I see where you're coming from. You're all overthinking it. It's Redmayne, the man with a big beard.
I knew you
who's
were going to
literally
say
called
Redmayne. I
Redmayne.
knew you were going to say Redmayne.
You overthought
I knew you were
it.
going to say
tried
Redmayne
to
just
outthink
because
me.
he has red in the name. I knew you were going to do that.
I could have also gone with Scarlet, but I went with Redmayne because of the beard.
Well, I'm
yeah,
disappointed.
Look! The thousands
I think
of
my
hours.
terrible pitch was actually still better than that.
my
to be
thousands of
honest.
hours studying
frankly.
Capital.
Hmm.
That's what's given me this insight. And if you don't, I can't expect everyone to have it up there. But I do play this game so you can aspire for more. You can reach for the stars.
Wow,
Wow.
the aestheticization of politics in the modern era. There you go. It's just he's got a red
No,
in the name. Oh, I
He's got red
see.
in the name. He's got red in the name. He has a
Wow.
red mate. He's got like wearing a red cloak. He's got a beard. Well, I mean, it's
That's
it
true,
makes sense.
The
It makes
the beard
sense.
is good. The beard is. I
The
agree with the beard.
dialectalism coheres. Anyway, I don't know if dialectalism is a word. I was hoping to plow through that. Okay. Oh, well, I think that might be Meghna, the end of the interview. Before we say goodbye to you, I will say that unfortunately the timing's not great because your Kickstarter ends the day this podcast is published.
Well,
so
I mean, there's no worries about that because we are also going to be open for sort of late pledges afterwards. So there'll be a couple of tiers that you can kind of still pledge to. So yeah, do check it out. I know that all of us left. I know that there's just like we just don't have any money because we're not evil, and that seems to be a requirement. But yeah, and the demo is also live on Steam as well. It's 3 hours long. So
all will rise.
All
Search for it
rise.
on Kickstarter and Steam, and you'll get stuff. And why not give money to the Kickstarter? I mean, it's already made 4 times its goal.
Yeah.
But as we've just been talking about, they also gave up a bunch of money. So they need more of it. That's life.
Yeah, we're really hoping to get to 100K so that we can have a mobile version because that also helps us get to
that'd be amazing,
kind of our
yeah.
global south audience and
Mhm.
and gamers with less access to consoles in general. So that would be great.
100%,
And non-gamers,
100%.
God, wouldn't that be exciting if people who didn't usually play video games played this one?
I mean, I don't trust him, but sure.
Yeah, this was super fun. Thank you guys so much. And yeah, let's pick a time and like do a proper episode together. That would be great. Okay.
Goodbye,
Lovely to chat.
Meghna. Bye.
Amazing. Thank you so much
Speak
for
to you
being
soon.
here.
Bye. Bye.
Okay, well, Meghna's gone. We loved her, but she's not here anymore.
We mourn.
We're mourning
we
her.
mourn her passing.
We mourn her. We grieve her. She's still alive. Don't worry.
To be clear.
Just to make that absolutely clear. She's still alive. Although, who knows what will happen between now and the publishing.
That sounds threatening.
Yeah.
Didn't
Well,
like that.
things can happen. Well, it's not threatening. We love her. We want her to live literally forever. For all
I don't
time.
like where this is going.
Let's cut to
I
the
might edit this
stories.
out. I
think you should
I may edit this out.
Just rewind. Just take
but
it back.
No, we're moving on.
Yeah.
We're
What a
moving
lovely
on.
guest we just said
moving on.
goodbye to in a normal way.
We're moving on.
Who we liked a
To,
normal
the
amount.
next
we
bit.
like in a
No.
normal amount.
We're moving on to the next next item, and it's going to be Ed. And it's, let's be honest, a little bit awkward that we're talking about this, but we'll plow through it.
Sure, yeah. Well, let's talk about the next Xbox. In the past couple of
Yay!
weeks,
Yay!
Xbox have been...
Don't buy it. Don't buy it. Don't buy it.
This is a good
Don't
suggestion.
Don't buy the console. Don't buy
Yeah,
it.
let's just get right out of the way here. We just
Don't
talked about
buy
BDS
it.
at length. We
Don't
don't
buy
think you
it.
should
Don't buy the
this,
console. We
assuming
don't buy the
that,
console. Don't
they're
buy
still on the
it. Don't
BDS
buy
list by the
anything.
time it comes out. Although,
Don't
it's worth
buy
pointing
anything.
out. It is
Don't
worth
buy
pointing
it.
out that there is not terribly low at this point. Possibly that the entire American empire could collapse by the time the new Xbox comes
Here's
out.
hoping.
In which case, they probably would be off the BDS list. So, it might
Does
happen.
it count if it's just been obliterated? There is no more Xbox
Exactly.
or
yeah,
Microsoft. Doesn't exist anymore.
exactly.
Touch wood. I'm
Who
not.
knows?
Again.
Who knows?
It's gone to a very morbid territory, as you were saying, Ed.
I don't know what to make of all that, but yes, I mean, as my co-hosts
Don't
have flagged
make
up, they
anything.
are on the BDS list, so please avoid them.
Don't
But
buy it.
yes,
buy
Xbox have been dropping their first official hints about what to expect with their next Xbox. In the last episode, we talked about the Xbox reshuffle, and the first hints of the new Xbox came from Asha Shah, the new CEO, on Twitter on the 5th of March, when she tweeted that the code name was Project Helix. She said that it would, quote, lead in performance, and interestingly, that it would play, quote, both Xbox and PC games. Interesting.
Ooh.
I mean, that
and
is
she said
basically what we have been saying that it's going to be for, I think, months at this point, right?
Indeed. I mean, we're not some savant. It's been the rumors for a long time that that's what it's going to be. But it's
Yeah,
interesting.
they got the rumors from us. We're the source. We were
that's
the
right,
source.
yeah.
Let's be clear about that.
And she said that more information would come out at GDC. Well, GDC, the Xbox Developer Summit keynote speech by Jason Ronald, the Xbox VP, did go into more detail on the 11th of March. And so what have we learned now? Well, what we know is that Project Helix is apparently going to be powered by a custom AMD system. And Jason spoke about the order of magnitude leap in ray tracing, performance, and capability that it integrates intelligence directly into the graphics and compute pipeline and drives meaningful gains in efficiency, scale, and visual ambition. I mean, yeah, that makes sense as a sort of series of things that you would say. They're not exactly going to say it's barely going to be an improvement, are they? But that's something I'm not sure that I'm technically knowledgeable enough to have any particular hot take on what that sequence of words means. But yeah, more relatably, we learned that the alpha versions will be going out to devs in 2027. And that, again, basically aligns with the timelines that we've sort of heard been rumored before and spoken about on previous episodes. At this early stage, there's, of course, no indication as to what the final retail price would be of the finished product. We've said in the past that we think this is probably going to end up being positioned as a premium product, like quite a bit more expensive than normal games consoles is the speculation. So we'll keep our eyes peeled for that, but we haven't got any more info on that right now. So yeah, let's talk about the Xbox PC game situation. So, I mean, I guess the positives of that it should make cross-play, playing games across devices easier. That's how they pitched it. It'll also make it easier to develop for the Xbox is part of the idea. But it does raise the fundamental question of, is this even really a games console now? Especially when you also consider the emphasis that they placed on them rolling out a new Xbox mode in Windows 11. I'm going to quote a Richard Ledbetter, who is writing for Digital Foundry here, quote, Microsoft is aiming to leverage the dominance of Windows as the de facto standard gaming OS by integrating the advantages of its console OS while streamlining the developmental process for game making. I think that, perhaps unfortunately, it is the end of a fully focused console environment for Xbox. It's likely the best route forward. From a developer perspective, Xbox is a PC, perhaps one that receives a limited level of specific optimizations, but basically runs the same exact code as the PC build, the exact same code as the PC build. So yeah, there's this sort of general sentiment, the general response to this, as we've just seen from that quote, is this isn't really a games console then, is it? If it's also running PC games, this is just sort of a PC that they're selling. And again, that is very much in line with what we've speculated across the industry, but also on this podcast. The early indicators definitely imply a further shift away from Xbox as a real console in the way that it's been up to this point. And perhaps it will end up being more like a Steam Deck or what was it called? The Steam Machine. They do explicitly say that they've learned from the ROG Ally X, for example. So there's clear, like quite a direct inspiration from that aspect of it. Or basically, it feels like it'll be kind of like a pre-made standard gaming PC that's being rolled out. And really is Xbox in name only, is the sense that we've got from these announcements. And I don't know, BDS and all that, I haven't had an Xbox for more than a decade anyway, but it does feel like kind of a shame to me. I don't think it's going to be great for the industry to only really have Sony offering that kind of core console, non-Nintendo experience. And also my hopes had been raised very slightly in the days leading up to GDC, because a lot of the this is an Xbox marketing, which had done so much to undermine the vision of Xbox as a console experience, had been taken down from Xbox's website. So I was wondering if there was a question being raised after the reshuffle that we covered last time about whether that was the right direction for Xbox, whether they should really recommit to Xbox as a console rather than as like a wider experience. But this announcement makes it seem very much like they're committed to the death of the Xbox as a games console. And that's really
it's kind of weird that they shut down the this is an Xbox like campaign, and then we're just like, but we are still doing it though.
Yeah. I mean, I guess there had been so much backlash to that campaign specifically amongst like gamers. I guess it's like a way of sort of implying that you respect and listen to gamers, but without actually physically changing anything. I mean, I guess I would also say you can change a marketing campaign in a matter of a few weeks. Like, it's not that difficult to make adjustments on it. Whereas the development of physical hardware obviously is a much more drawn out process. So you could speculate that obviously we would know for basically a fact the Project Helix must have been significantly under development under the previous Xbox regime. And the decision to announce it now is a form of marketing, and this is an Xbox marketing, getting rid of that is also like a marketing decision. So the fact that those two don't align, there's something vaguely interesting about that. But I don't think it really. I think the only way of reading this is that they are basically still going to go with the this is an Xbox approach, which is a real shame.
Yeah.
Even if that's not something that the leads are super impassioned by, which is I think the signal that they're sort of trying to send. I think they're trying to send the impression that they're like, I don't know, open to listening to gamers, but also this is what's happening. That's kind of how I'm reading the situation. I don't know if you guys have got any more thoughts on it.
No, it does feel like it's kind of I mean, I don't know if it's odd. I suppose it's inevitable, but if they're like, oh, we're going to leverage the fact that if you're a PC gamer, you got to play on Windows. I mean, is that even true anymore? More and more people, everyone hates Windows these days, and more people are switching to Linux. I was even looking into it this week. I'm sorry, guys. I was vaguely considering it.
Whoa.
I don't mind as long as you don't constantly talk about it like most people I know who use Linux.
Oh man,
If that's about
harsh
you,
on Ed. That's harsh on Ed
listener.
who uses Linux.
I think you're actually a great Linux user, Ed, because I didn't know you used it. So.
Thanks, Soph.
Can I just surprise you?
And I think that's the
love
ideal
Linux,
kind
actually.
of Linux user you can be. That's fine. You can love it all you want. Just shut the fuck up.
No.
So,
I was
just
kind of looking
if
into
I
it.
earned like £1 every time someone in my chat was just like, "Oh yeah, you don't like when it switched to Linux," and I'm like, "Shut up, shut up."
Yeah. But I mean, a lot of people are doing it, and God knows Windows is running terrible on my machine, so I was considering it.
The Xbox mode bit seems to me like it's too little too late. I mean, how did famously, I mean, I'm not an expert, but the history of Windows is a piece of software comes along that is quite good and could compete in some specific way with Windows. So Windows start packaging their own version of that software with Windows from the get-go to basically kill that competition, right? That's how a lot of the most famous Windows products have come about. We're in a situation where for some reason, somehow, Steam, Valve, have somehow more or less monopolized gaming on Windows. Like, it seems very bizarre. And we know that Microsoft have tried numerous times to try and crack that market, and they've seemingly completely failed every time, what's it called? Windows with Live? Or what was that called? I can't even remember what that was.
Yeah.
But it's just
Windows
those
Store,
kinds of utter
Windows Store,
disasters.
that was one, yeah.
And the closest they've come
Xbox
to
Store,
success with this has been, the Games Pass stuff that they then have sort of shot in the foot over the last few years through price increases and sort of making the value a less appealing proposition. So I guess this is them trying to do a similar thing to what they've done in the past, and maybe try and edge out Steam. Like, eventually, that surely is their long-term goal. But it just doesn't seem very plausible at this point that they could do that. Steam have got such a strong foothold in the game that even suggesting that that's that's Microsoft's plan feels ridiculous. But I think it must be what they want to do. I don't know. That's all speculation, I suppose, at the end of the day. But just looking at the track history of Microsoft, that is how they have always developed Windows. So I would expect to see it more again now.
Yeah. Weird things. And as I said, we don't think you should buy it. But
Don't buy it.
These things have, as Meghna was saying, there's a lot of decent people who basically have no choice but to make games on those systems because of the other type of system that they live and work in. So it's important to know about these things, and even outside of it, they have influences on other things. What PlayStation does, what Nintendo does, what the wider PC market does, what games do in general. So yeah, it's definitely worth keeping on top of, I think. And we do have one more bit of news, a bit of a fun one from Sofie.
Yeah, so I'm going to be talking a little bit about Mindseye.
Big Mindseye heads here. Big Mindseye heads.
Loads of, such big fans of Mindseye, which released on June 11th, 2025, disastrously. Yeah. But, I feel like it's just such a, tale as old as time in the video game industry. Is just video game comes out, is disastrous on launch, and then there's sort of scrambling to fix it. But this one's not quite like the others because of, unlike traditional stories, it's crunch, it's pressure on devs, it's not enough time, it's miscommunication between the marketing department and the studio. The reason Mindseye was really rubbish, according to bosses at the company, was because of sabotage. Sabotage and
what?
corporate espionage.
Are they the Beastie Boys?
Yeah. So Mindseye launched with glitches and other issues on June 11th, 2025, and saw sort of dwindling players after a disastrous launch. In October of 2025, an all-staff meeting took place at Mindseye developer Build a Rocket Boy, where studio boss Leslie Benzies, previously of Rockstar, right?
The Benz. That's what they call him, the Benz.
There you go. Apparently that's what they call him. I do not call him that. I call him Leslie Benzies, or Lensley Besley.
It seems like you call him a number of things. So
I called him extremely inconsistent number of things. It's part of the espionage. Anyway, so Benzies alleged that negativity towards the game was actually due to quote-unquote internal and external forces that affected the game's launch, and that, quote, saboteurs, unquote, at the company would be rooted out, a message which came a week after redundancies had been announced. Back in old 2025, he said, quote, I find it disgusting that anyone could sit amongst us, behave like this, and continue to work here, unquote, during the meeting.
Wow.
Perhaps he should be voiced like a mob boss instead. I don't know.
I think that sounds more
calling
like
everyone rats.
That sounds a bit more
Everyone's a
Game
rat.
of Thrones to me. That's like.
Okay, let me try again. What? Yeah, I don't know if I can do a good. What's his name?
Tywin.
Yeah, or Littlefinger, I suppose. I used to be
Littlefinger.
able to do a good Littlefinger. I don't remember. I can't remember
Littlefinger,
what he sounds like now.
nailing down Littlefinger's accent is.
I used to do a really
a
good
job in
Littlefinger,
itself. Really?
but Alex doesn't believe I can do a single accent. Anyway.
No,
he
I
said-
didn't know. Hey, I criticized a couple of accents. I have repeatedly praised many of your accents, so Sophie. I'm not taking that heat. I'm not taking that heat.
No.
He said that just
I
women
already
can't
read
do
that quote.
accents. I've heard him
Women
say it.
can't
I've
do
heard him say
accents.
it.
Yeah, he's also said women aren't funny.
Unbelievable.
I've heard him say that. Yeah.
These are slurs. I'm not taking it.
So Benzies was accused of micromanaging the project, and Mindseye developers also signed an open letter against studio execs over, quote, long-standing disrespect and mistreatment, unquote. I just thought that would be an interesting thing to add. But anyway, fast forwarding to today, devs at Build a Rocket Boy, have been working like the past few months to attempt to fix the game. They've put out several updates and stuff, but unfortunately, after disappointing results from a seventh major update intended to refresh the brand, a new round of layoffs has been announced, along with a public statement from co-CEO Mark Gerard. I'm probably not pronouncing that name right. Where basically they just kind of double down. They double down on claims that, quote, organized espionage and corporate sabotage, unquote, occurred around Mindseye's development, with co-CEO Mark Gerard writing in the official statement announcing the layoffs that they have been consulting with a legal team to investigate, quote, criminal activity that took place around our launch, unquote, and that it has resulted in, quote, overwhelming evidence of organized espionage and
my
corporate sabotage
goodness.
affecting Mindseye, unquote. Also sharing that they cannot share more details as they are moving towards prosecution. Workers at the studio had discovered management monitoring software called Terramind on their machines, which greatly affected game development software during the process of developing Mindseye. So yeah, that's all I have. I'm
So
not sure if we
who
have anything else.
Is
but just,
sabotaging who?
Well,
who's
I mean,
sabotaging who? Yeah,
I don't think we were going to get into too much legal trouble by saying that Leslie Benzies left Rockstar under a cloud. There was a bunch of legal stuff around that. And I think the implication is that he is suggesting that it was the people at Rockstar who are behind this. Now,
what? Is he claiming that they are, like,
Yes.
trying to get revenge on him?
yes, that's what they are claiming. He's
Are
claiming.
you
Well, and that makes a
fucking
lot of sense
joking?
because
I think
Mindseye
Grand
could
Theft Auto
be a
got to his
huge
head.
threat to GTA
Yeah,
Yeah, it
6.
could be a massive threat.
I'm sure
main
they're terrified.
competitor.
It doesn't matter. I'm not making that claim. I'm not making that
Forecast
claim.
to be the most highest selling game in history.
I think it's actually the
Potentially
forecast to be the
product.
most entertainment
Yeah.
product of any type.
Entertainment product. I love this entertainment product. It's so tasty. It's a
I
delicious
love to
entertainment
consume
product.
the entertainment product.
I love to consume the entertainment product.
But
Hello,
that
fellow
does seem to
consumers.
be the implication that he's making. And I mean, look,
That's
to
hilarious.
be fair to Leslie, the Benzies here, they do seem like kind
I
of
just want to call
wankers
them
there.
benzos. I'll be
You know,
honest.
we're not fans of the Rockstar management. We've talked about that and all the shenanigans they got up to on their workers. I mean,
Epsteinigans as well.
yeah. Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, that stuff. So, I mean, again, we obviously have
He was
no
one
information.
specific guy, to be fair. And, I'm not alleging that anyone else is involved,
Course.
just to be clear.
But
Speak to my lawyer.
Obviously we have no information, but like, do I think they'd be morally above doing this? I can't really say. Let's say that. But yeah, that's a fun thing, isn't it? Not fun?
It's very
corporate
fun. It's
espionage?
very fun. I also maybe I guess it's I don't know that they wouldn't do that, but I also just think it's such good cope. It's such good,
Yeah, it's
very
amazing.
open public
Incredible.
cope where it's like, no wait, they're out to get me. You don't understand.
Do I think that they morally wouldn't do that? Absolutely.
Absolutely
Of course
not.
they
do I
morally
think
would
they
do that.
actually do?
Yeah, but would they do it
Yeah.
knowing that they might what benefit did they get from this? Just being spiteful?
Yeah,
Like what?
exactly. Again, it's Rockstar.
It's
I don't
Rockstar.
think they need to be doing this. Their name is literally Rockstar.
They're named
That's
after
not
that
very
Nickelback
Rockstar
song. It's
behavior.
incredible.
Yeah, exactly.
Clearly. Yeah, I mean, though you might say that Leslie Benzies is looking for justice for Barb. B-A-R-B, Bill the Rocket Boy.
Yeah,
Remember
that's
Justice for
and
Barb
just
from the first
Stranger
season of
Things.
Stranger Things? Yeah.
No, I got what you were
Yeah.
doing. I just didn't know why you were doing it.
I didn't.
Yeah, they you could see.
I want
see
you
on
to
their
leave that
faces,
full
listeners, that they
unedited
were.
silence.
They thought it was
We
hilarious.
love that
They
one.
thought it was
We love that.
hilarious.
It was so good. What happened was I laughed so loud that it actually peaked the mic, and
Yeah.
we had to
I could see
remove it
that.
from the final version of the
Yeah.
recording.
No, you know
I
what?
just
I'm-
recovered from a laughing fit.
The truth
I could
is,
have died.
The truth is, I'm kind of
actually.
quite self-conscious and I'm quite humble, so I actually edited out the peals of
Yeah.
laughter.
You often do, actually. I've noticed that
I
listening
often do.
back.
Yeah. Often in response to your jokes, actually.
That's weird.
Yeah, I don't need to.
Sometimes
I
I
don't need to
notice
puff
you-
myself up. I don't
you
need to puff
cut
myself
out
up.
Our laughter at your jokes and you move it so it sounds like people are laughing at say, Sophie's
It's
jokes
all
or my
laughing at-
jokes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very sweet.
Yeah.
of
It's
you.
weird how that happens.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Everyone can just, I'm just a humble guy. I'm a humble guy.
I'm a humble guy. Humble
The
Alex.
most humble.
On these incredible revelations, I think we should probably end the episode. That's the news one. Next time it's going to be games, and we've got some good games coming up. We've got some juicy games.
Yum,
They're
yum,
very
yum.
juicy.
Mm.
They're very juicy,
Yum, yum, yum.
and you're going to
Hot
enjoy
morsel.
them
Nom, nom, nom,
in
nom,
1
nom.
week's time. Oh, they're more than morsels. They are full-on bites of
Oof.
games. But
Careful.
until then, we are going to be done. We are begging you. I mean, you heard Meghna Jayanth was on this episode. You want to tell everyone about that? You want to tell everyone, every single person you meet. I want you, if you're not religious, I want you to join a religion and then proselytize our podcast within your congregation
It's
or
all
whatever
coming
you
back
call the
to the
group of
cult.
people.
Question again, Alex, like we spoke about beforehand. You really
Look, hey,
You
man,
gotta
hey,
stop,
man. If you
man.
want to start
Testing
your
out.
own religion, that's your own business. I'm saying you can join an established religion.
like
and just,
Scientology.
well, not. Come on, Church of England's fine. You can go to church and you can go and tell everyone at the congregation. You can quit after that. I don't care about it. But you just need to. I want everyone in that
Mhm.
congregation listening to our podcast. Come on, I don't think
Mhm.
that's an unreasonable ask. All
Okay.
right. Anyway, you can have these people, the congregants, find us on Twitter at Red Barrels Pod, on Blue Sky at redbarrelspodcast.bsky.social. Yeah. You can find me personally at Alex Dean, ALEXDYN, on Twitter, and the same .bsky.social on Blue Sky. Sophie, how can people find you?
They can find me on Twitch. I stream twitch.tv/SoFreely. What about you, Ed?
Well, you can find me at what is it? At Not a Lemon on Blue Sky and at Still Not a Lemon
Just blow the
On-
dust.
on X. Yeah. Um, And
Sofie,
we'd also implore you to support the Kickstarter that we spoke
yes,
about
of
earlier in the
course.
episode, which will be in the show notes.
It is in the show notes, and also I had the link right here, but I didn't get a chance to say it because it was kind of hot. It was kind of things were moving fast, but it's kickstarter.com/projects/speculative agency /all will rise with little hyphens between all and will and rise. And you'll find it there. As Meghna said, if you listen to this immediately after it goes live, you still have time to get in on the original Kickstarter timeline, but there will be opportunities to continue to donate after that, and we very much encourage you to do that, and also to play the demo on Steam, which is live right now. I will say, just before we go, Sofie, you mentioning the stream reminded me that I believe that recently on the stream you did a political compass.
Yes, I did.
What are the results? We got to find out if you're still allowed to be on the podcast.
Yeah. I was and I want to point this out as well. It was a result of most of the people in chat, was a libertarian socialist, which I went and looked up. Obviously, I did the 8 values quiz. I don't know if this is going to be on the podcast or not, but I did the 8 values quiz, which you can go find. It was recommended to me a long time ago. And most of the people in my chat were also getting libertarian socialist. Obviously, we're like a very progressive Twitch stream. So we actually also found like how they categorize people. And you basically had to get like 100% in the market category to be any kind of communist. In the past, I have gotten it before, where I had libertarian communist, I think I got before. But it requires you to get like 100% in the market category, which I do think like the nature of the questions, the way that they ask it, means that you're probably, I think it is quite difficult to get 100% in any category unless you're really interpreting the questions in a particular way. But yeah, there you go. That's what I got.
Well, I think we'll keep her for now. You know, you can work on that. You can work on that. You can get up to that communist soon.
If I start going any more in that libertarian direction,
I know.
Get rid of me.
It hurts, doesn't it, that they put libertarian in there. I know what they mean in that
like,
context.
I know what the word means.
Yeah.
It's like, I like people having liberties, but like we understand the word libertarian to be like, well, maybe we should negotiate the age of consent.
Yeah.
That's not my vibe.
Let's make that clear to everyone. That's none of our vibes.
Not
we're
that
not
kind
that type
of
podcast. Well, I'm glad to hear that. So, congratulations! You'll continue to hear Sofie on this podcast because that was touch and go for a moment. But
libertarian,
you'll have to wait.
Socialist, okay.
In order to hear her and Ed and me, you're going to have to wait until a week's time and the next episode because we are saying goodbye.
Bye.